Hello, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back. Today's video is on the topic of why I started a YouTube channel and false identities. And so first I wanted to start by reading a little passage from this book, In Search of the Miraculous, which I talked about in one of my previous videos. Anyway, that's a pretty good book. First of all, I wanted to show you my adorable little bookmark, right? It's the Drowsy, the Pokemon. He's so cute. Anyway, this is us, right? This is us in our deep hypnotic sleep, being hypnotized. Anyway, I'm gonna read you a passage from this book, and it's a long passage, but it's my channel, so I don't really care. First of all, it must be realized that the sleep in which man exists is not normal, but hypnotic sleep. Man is hypnotized, and this hypnotic state is continually maintained and strengthened in him. One would think that there are forces for whom it is useful and profitable to keep man in a hypnotic state and prevent him from seeing the truth and understanding his position. There is an Eastern tale which speaks about a very rich magician who had a great many sheep, but at the same time this magician was mean. He did not want to hire shepherds, nor did he want to erect a fence about the pasture where his sheep were grazing. The sheep consequently often wandered into the forest, fell into ravines, and so on, and above all they ran away, for they knew that the magician wanted their flesh and skins, and this they did not like. At last the magician found a remedy. He hypnotized his sheep and suggested to them first of all that they were immortal and that no harm was being done to them when they were skinned, that on the contrary it would be very good for them and even pleasant. Secondly, he suggested that the magician was a good master who loved his flock so much that he was ready to do anything in the world for them. And in the third place, he suggested that if anything at all were going to happen to them, it was not going to happen just then, at any rate not that day, and therefore they had no need to think about it. Further, the magician suggested to his sheep that they were not sheep at all. To some of them he suggested that they were lions, to others that they were eagles, to others that they were men, and to others that they were magicians. Anyway, I hope you like the passage. I'm really enjoying this book, and I'm like more than halfway through now, but yeah, I would definitely recommend checking it out. So today's video, why I started a YouTube channel, because some people have actually asked me this, and then also like I just wanted to clarify some things because I think that people just misinterpret, they just assume. For me, I was a very shy person all my life, and I could think of nothing worse than filming a video of myself talking, uploading it to the public, and that's exactly why I did it, because when you are so scared of something and so avoidant of something, it means you have to do it, like, because obviously there's something, it's, you know, I truly believe that day by day, we are building the walls of our own prison, and we have the key to our own liberation, and it's only us who holds the key, and that we can break free from it, but we must understand the mental prison that we've constructed for ourselves. So part of my mental prison was thinking that I'm a very shy person who cannot interact with the world at large and can't put myself out there, and can't share my thoughts with the world because I'm just so shy. And then sort of relating to that, right? Okay, people assume that I want to be a YouTuber. And like, what does that mean? Okay, anyone who has a YouTube channel is a YouTuber, I suppose. But we also have this mental schema of a YouTuber, which is someone who exists on YouTube, right? Because we don't know YouTubers in real life. We only see them through their YouTube channel. And so therefore we think that their entire who they are as a person is their YouTube channel, essentially. We have this idea of a YouTuber. And then the schema of a YouTuber is someone who maybe likes fame, likes attention, that they're trying to amass as many followers as possible and that sort of thing. They're trying to get a brand sponsorship. They're trying to, you know, have their followers donate money to them, which I actually did put a donation link in the bio. I really don't, I just did it because every YouTuber does it, right? I don't want money. But anyway, I just wanted to unpack that idea of like, what is a YouTuber? Am I a YouTuber? I suppose people assume that, you know, I've had people come up to me and say like, oh, I see you're a content creator now. And it's like, what do you mean I am a content creator? Like, I suppose I create content, but really it's just, I enjoy uploading these things and sharing them, and it's really easy to just like film a video, edit it, upload it, and throw it out into the void and maybe inspire people to sort of speak up a little, share their voice, and maybe break out of their own sort of mental schema of who they are as a person and thinking, I could never be someone who's a YouTuber. I could never be someone who uploads YouTube videos of myself just talking at a camera. I mean, you can, anyone can. It's just, you give it a try, because if you think something, you think you can't do something, and then you act in accordance with that, right? Then you're making it true and you're strengthening it for yourself. But when you do not restrict yourself in those ways of what you can and can't do, your mind opens up in other ways that is quite freeing. And so on the topic of false identity, I mean, this is just the stuff I get in my feed. I don't know if it's a particularly hot topic amongst people in general, but I suppose it must be if it's appearing in my feed, right? Like goths, fake goths. I mean, this has been forever, but people take way too much pride in being a real goth when they actually should not, because it's actually like some sort of disgusting group in-group behavior that just freaks me the hell out, right? When people make their entire life about being goth. And it's like, you can like really enjoy goth music and understand all the theory behind it and the culture, and like, you know, dress a little goth and maybe have that kind of demeanor, right? But you do not need to be on Shein buying so many goth accessories. You do not need to be decorating your room with like skulls and stuff, and you do not need to be wearing trad goth makeup every single day. And the people who take pride in it of like, oh, I'm living the subculture, it's just weird, because it's like, you are not the subculture. You're using the subculture as a stand-in for your actual personality, and then you're taking pride in the fact that you're so very dedicated to it, instead of like actually cultivating your own sense of self in any sort of way. I just think that it's kind of strange, like, because I almost got brainwashed by this a little bit, right? Because obviously when you put it this way, it sounds like, oh, these people are being kind of stupid. No, I got brainwashed by it because I started feeling guilty. I was like, I have no right to dress up in goth makeup and go out in a goth outfit, right? Because I'm not doing it every single day, and it's not like my entire life, and I don't build my entire personality around it. So I'm a fake goth, even though, you know, I've listened to all the music and all that nonsense. And like, I really did start to fall for it. But in a way, this mentality, even if it's an alternative subculture, it's the same sort of group think that affects people in, you know, whatever subculture you don't like if you're sports fans, Taylor Swift fans, or whatever, where you can just dismiss it. But when it's something you actually like, then it's like, well, maybe they have a point. But no, it's the same group herd mentality. Sheeple. And then on the topic of false identities, and tying into spirituality, I just think it's kind of interesting. So when I first started getting more into spirituality, one of the people who I was most influenced by was the incredible comedian Neil Hamburger. And I've actually seen him live. He's incredibly funny live, and also on all his tapes and videos and everything. And like, what inspired me so much about him is that he is so good at doing a bit that a lot of people can't tell that he's doing a bit, which obviously, like, when I watch his show, it's so obvious that he's like come up with this incredible character, and it's like, it's obviously a bit, right? But he regularly gets booed by people who just don't get it at all, or like people who actually like, but it's kind of impressive, right? Being able to cultivate a character who is so very believable, and construct this false self, and so many people do this completely unintentionally, is that they've constructed this false self, right? So in order to create an intentional false self that you can use as a stand-up comedian or that sort of thing, you need to understand the false self that you've already created. And in this sense, it's a very spiritual act to be able to unpack the persona that you've created and the false self that you present to the world that is typically wrapped up in all these strange identities, like a YouTuber or a goth, or it could also be something like, I'm a daughter, I'm a student, you know, that sort of thing. And that we get really attached to these identities. You're not a bad person for doing this. This is just natural. This is just our human psychology in action. And we like to form schemas and understand things in relation to each other, and that everything needs to have a place. And it feels more comfortable to put labels on things. Particularly things we don't understand, and the human psyche is something we really don't understand at all. Well, most of us, I would say. So it's just so much easier to just stick a label on any person, and especially ourselves, and maybe have a list in our bio of 10 different identities, because I'm an INFJ and I'm a Cancer and I'm however many years old, you know what I mean? And anyway, yeah, like, what I've gotten out of being a YouTuber, yeah, anyway, I really just enjoy the process of making a video, because I think it just kind of keeps me in check in a way, like kind of not falling off the wheels. Like, if you're someone who's struggled with depression, and like there are periods in your life where they're just lost because you just weren't doing literally anything, like you were just, you know, in the deep fog, the dark days, you know, just make a video every week and you'll find that you're not really falling into that as often. So just my personal experience, I'm not necessarily prescribing this or anything, but and then also like being able to reflect on the false self that you've created. And of course, like, I am very much intentional about it. Like, you know, today I'm a goth clown, today I'm putting on the glasses and I'm acting kind of more academic or whatever, like doing a little bit of a bit. So in that way, you're kind of reflecting on who your true self is, because you're separating the bit that you're doing from your true self. And then also, like, when you watch back the videos, even in those parts where you're not necessarily doing a bit, you were just trying to be authentic, you can see just aspects of yourself that you weren't consciously observing at the moment, but then when given the distance of watching yourself on tape, and maybe with a few days or weeks passing, that you just get so much more insight. And the sort of self-observation can be extremely practical, and at the same time it's not completely flawless. Like, you need to take it to the next level of having other people watch you and comment on you so that you can understand a little bit more about like how you come off, because at the end of the day we can't actually see our own blind spots, right? And like our own greatest flaws are hidden from us, and this is why it's important to have, you know, like friends or like psychotherapists who are able to point these things out to us. And shake us out of them, because if we're just sitting there by ourselves going in circles, we're only going to end up reinforcing them more. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the short video, and maybe it brought up some interesting topics, and maybe inspired you to start your own YouTube channel. Anyway, thank you for watching.